Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to introduce a little bit myself. My name is Jaume Piera. And I work at the Institute of Marine Science in Barcelona. And what I will show you here briefly is one of project that will start on hopefully on June. So basically, I will give you here a preliminary introduction because still we haven't not signed the grant agreement. So that means that we can change a little bit part of the things that I will explain you here. Anyway, the project is ProBleu, and it was, a proposal that we sent in the context of one call of the Horizon, one of the missions of the ocean, and in particular the one that it's called or it was addressed as a student and school activities for the promotion of education on blue sustainability and the protection of marine and freshwater ecosystems. Basically, this idea of the concept of blue schools. So maybe to start, we have to think about the origin of those blue schools. The concept of blue school started or it was an outcome of one previous project called Sea Change, that it was, started from 2015 and ended in 2018. That means 5 years ago. So the idea was, to promote the literacy, ocean literacy in that project. And this creates somehow one coalition. It's now the U4Ocean. And in that coalition, there is this idea of the network of European Blue Schools. So this coalition connects diverse organizations and projects and people with the idea to connect with this ocean literacy and the sustainable management of the ocean. So the idea was enhance awareness and engagement of all our parties in this idea of sustainable management of the ocean. Also help members to become ocean advocates, and particularly with the idea of links to sustainable practices and the management of the ocean. The idea was also to promote the blue economy opportunities, and particularly this idea of putting the ocean literacy high on the policy agenda. So how it works, or what is the idea behind this concept of European Blue Schools? Well, the idea is to bring the ocean on a more long-term basis into the different classrooms, with the idea of taking up what it's called the Find the Blue Challenge. So what are the potential blue schools that can be involved? Anyone. You can see here the list that is mentioned, and you can see that it goes from the kindergarten until the vocational schools or senior high school. So any type of a school could be part of this network. And what is the idea or the methodology or the requirements of becoming part of this network? Basically finding this blue challenge that basically is first identifying an ocean topic that you want to address within the school, develop that project or that idea together with local partners, and communicate about your project. Following these steps, you could be part of the network. And what the network offer to those schools that won't belong to be part of this network? Basically, sharing the project with other schools. There could be, exchange of experiences, which is also important as a kind of networking, obviously. Find inspiration on how to address the ocean topics. In many cases, you can help each other. We can help each other. And receive the certification of the European Blue School, that this recognizes somehow the value on the project developed. And in addition, accessing or all teachers that participate to specific training resources, which is also important for those interested on doing this type of initiatives. That's an example, basically just to tell you that now there is a collaboration between the European network of blue schools and the European Atlas of the Seas, and there is one layer that you can choose in which now they are mapping all the schools that have been integrated within that European network. I put an example. If you go to the link that you can see below, or the graphic or the figure, you can click then any of the symbols or the elements that are in the map, and you could see which is the school that are now engaged, and you can see the project, the people, and the school, and some of the basic things around that particular participant. So in this context, so having that the existing this network, the question is, what can we do more? And this was more or less the idea of this mission Ocean call. So the idea that has been identified is that progress in reaching good environmental status in inland and in marine waters has been slow, or in fact, we have not been met all the targets that was defined by the 2020 in terms of Marine Strategy Framework Directive or the Water Framework Directive. We have not met yet. We have to admit that both oceanic, coastal, and inland waters continue to be degraded due to the human activities. So within this problem, the mission of restore our oceans and waters by 2030, sorry, aims to reverse this degradation. And that's basically what it's planning to do in that mission, the whole global mission, but identifying that ocean and water literacy is a key and important issue to address to ensure the success of such mission. So that's the idea behind more or less that call, and what we offer as within the ProBleu. Well, the idea was to try to innovate somehow part of this education activities through several, I would say, quite new concepts. One of the first concept was the idea to base all the idea of the ProBleu of the concept of open schooling that I will explain a little bit later, and we will address two main aspects around the school curriculum. The first one is to promote or to enhance activities around the concept of citizen science. So the idea is that students will not only receive information on different topics or different problematics around the problem of the mission, but also engage them on being part of the solution, or at least all the activities that could lead to improve the ocean and or inland waters health. And with this, also we will promote a lot or increase a lot the interaction with scientists in the field. I will not go further with a lot of detail on what the concept of open schooling. I give you here a reference for those who are interested on this idea, but basically the idea is to expand the concept of training or education beyond the schools. And basically this idea of open learning or open schooling are broad terms that describe the learning process in an open environment. That means that it's open timing, open location, open teaching roles, institutional methods, models of access, or any other factors related to the learning processes. This obviously we could talk the whole morning about this idea, but I think that at least you can have an idea that we plan to engage not only teachers and students, but any other components of the society are very welcome in this concept. The consortium of ProBleu. Well, you can see that we are not a big consortium. In fact, we are this number, 6 partners, of which 3 of them are UK partners. So at the end, because of the Brexit rules and the adaptation that we had to do with the UK partners, those people from UK or those partners now are associated partners. So in total, we have like 3 partners from from Spain, Lithuania, and Portugal, and 3 more associated partners from UK. And you can see that we had different expertise. For example, we at CSIC, we have some experience, for example, in citizens observatories platforms, and also instruments, what it's called do-it-yourself. We have been involved we started collaborating particularly with people from Earthwatch in the 7th framework with seed clubs, but also, for example, we've been coordinating the Cost for Cloud project, that maybe if you are familiar with the citizen science, is one of the largest citizen science related project in Horizon 2020. Earthwatch also from UK have been, in fact, Luigi Ceccaroni, who is involved in Earthwatch as well, was coordinating seed clubs, but also he's coordinating the mix, which is also a quite well-known project in the arena of citizen science that evaluate the impact, measurement the impact of citizen science. Then we have the Kaunas University of Technology in Lithuania. We have Innova Plus. Innova will provide a lot of expertise, for example, and administering and communicating grant funding streams, and I will explain later because it's one of the key points in ProBleu. We have the Plymouth Marine Laboratory, but for example, there's a lot of expertise and in many, I would say, observational and modeling systems in the marine domain. But for example, they coordinate the project Monaco. And finally, the aquarium, the National Marine Aquarium, the Ocean Conservation Trust at the UK, that bring also the marine education to the public. Basically, what is pretending to do in ProBleu? Here you have a scheme of the different work packages, and one of the most important ideas is this pipeline to support. I don't know. Could you see my? I hope you could see my mouse. Well, the pointer is with the work package 2, which is the pipeline to support and accelerate the growth of the network OpenBlue schools. And this idea, basically, obviously, that's the most important goal in the project, to increase and to accelerate the growth of this network of blue schools. And we will do it basically with two large supports. One is a financial support for students and scholar projects. I will explain a little bit later. And also making it more accessible and support any kind of learning outcomes, analytic tools and materials that will be in Work Package 3. And this will be, facilitated through the dissemination, exploitation, and communication, and also the assessment of learning outcomes and impacts. So these, would say, two cycles are the ones to ensure that we will increase the network. One of the most important aspects to consider in ProBleu is that we will have different open calls to help and to support school projects. You can see the tentative dates. This is something that we are now discussing with the European Commission, but the idea, you can see that we are planning to have a large number of schools. We plan to try to support 100 different projects all around Europe, maybe in some cases, if we could, even outside of the European Union countries. But the idea, is that we will have several calls in which the different schools will provide several ideas. A little bit, some of this idea of this concept of the blue school, that you identify your project, you create your own project. And what we will do is, in some cases, we identify that part of these schools, and particularly some of schools, have some problems. They have a lot of ideas, but they do not have money to make it possible. So the idea is that within this project, we will try to help them. One of the ideas that we also plan is to try to be as much as inclusive as possible, in the sense that we will try to include many different types of schools and many different languages. We think that one of the potential success of the network of schools is that we can expand to as many as possible cultures and languages. And well, our long-term, our goal, and sometimes the Commission say that it's too ambitious, is that we could, engage and ensure that we will have at least schools from the 40 different languages spoken in Europe. They say, well, it's probably maybe too ambitious, but we will fund 100 of them. So we think that probably we can, facilitate that even some minority language could be at least be representative in the network in the future. And this is basically one of the probably the most important idea. So we will help those schools financially, but obviously we will help them providing some facilities in terms of platforms where to develop their own projects, also digital and training materials, and this will be part of these work packages that I mentioned. And basically, very roughly, this is the idea we have behind ProBleu project. Thank you very much.
Any questions?